The Forest Park Highlands first opened in 1896. At that time, it was called the Highlands Cottage Restaurant. Business was slow and didn't start picking up until it added a merry-go-round to attract customers. In 1897, the owners decided to add more rides, transforming the restaurant into an amusement park. It was located at 5600 Oakland Avenue, across from Forest Park. The amusement park operated for almost 7 decades. Of course, it is not here today, but the location is now where St. Louis Community College stands in Forest Park.
The Forest Park Highlands was very popular after the 1904 World's Fair, and some of the attractions from the fair were moved to the Highlands. One item that came from the fair was a recreation of a gateway to the Temple of Nikko, Japan. It was used as the entryway to the midway to the World's Fair. At the Highlands, it was used as a bandshell. A bandshell is a curved, hard surface designed to reflect sound towards the audience.
There were many things to do and see at the park. The Highlands had their own pool that opened in 1924. The pool area had upper decks for shaded seating and relaxing. There were also changing rooms and concession/food stands. This pool was one of the largest public swimming pools in the Midwest. It created a perfect border between the theater and Oakland Avenue. The Highlands also had a dance hall that opened on May 28, 1924. The dance hall hours were from 8:30 p.m. to 12 p.m. Admission for the hall was 25 cents per person. It was a gathering place and a great place for people to hang out. The Highlands was very famous for their roller coasters. The Highlands' first roller coaster was an L.A. Marcus Thompson Scenic Railway. The scenic route traveled down Oakland Avenue. The ride, of course, had scenery, and the scenery was changed from time to time to keep the ride new. The ride lasted until 1912. Another coaster was the Racer Dips. The ride was designed by John Miller, who helped operate the park too. This was just a single-track racing coaster. The Racer at Kennyway Park, Pennsylvania, is the only ride like it left in the United States. The Comet Ride was another coaster at the park. It opened on May 15, 1941. The Comet was 80 feet tall and 3,120 feet in length. It was a wooden roller coaster that had unexpected turns, dips, and drops. The Comet was built in the back of the park to lure people through the whole park to get to the ride. The last two popular coasters was the Flying Turns and the Mountain Ride. The Great Mountain Ride operated from 1912 to 1921. It was a sit-down wooden roller coaster which was designed by John Miller. The Flying Turns was a rather unusual ride. It was built and designed by Norman Bartlett. There were only 8 built in the United States. The cars rode on casters that swiveled 360 degrees. The more weight in the cars, the higher they rode up the walls. This was built in 1934, replacing the Mountain Ride near the front of the park.
Besides the pool, coasters, and dance hall, there were many other things people could have done at the park. Some smaller rides include the Cuddle-Up, Aerojets, and Biplanes. The Cuddle-Up was a small ride near the dance hall. The ride was a cross between a scrambler and a tilt-a-whirl. The Aerojets made its debut at the Highlands in 1956. On the ride, people would pull the steering wheel and it would make the rocket ship raise or lower itself 20 feet in the air. The Biplanes was a small ride with little planes that would go in circles. There are some kiddie rides like this at Six Flags today. The Ferris wheel and the Highlands carousel were very popular. The Ferris wheel was owned by John Miller. The Highlands carousel was a favorite for most of the kids at the park. The 4 reindeer were the most popular animals on the carousel. There was of course also concession stands, games, shows, a fun house, and even a train called the Little Toot.
The Forest Park Highlands was an amazing amusement park. This was just like the city's Six Flags in the mid-1900s. Even some of the rides are similar. St. Louis was very lucky to host the World's Fair in 1904 and then have a full-blown amusement park very soon after. Sadly, the park is not here today.
The reason why the park is not here today is because of a fire. The fire started in a large building that included a restaurant on Friday, July 19, 1963, at exactly 2:30 p.m. Wind whipped the fire through the old building, made wood and conjugated metal. It became inferno. The flames jumped from carnival ride to carnival ride and to the ticket booths until the park was up in flames. About 260 firefighters came to the park with about 46 trucks. Firefighters drew water from their pumpers from the park's swimming pool, and it took 8 hours to extinguish the whole fire. The wind was too high, and the water from the hoses only added to the humidity, so the park couldn't have been saved. Little remained except for the Comet, the Ferris wheel, and the famous carousel.
After the fire, Howard C. Ohlendorf purchased a carousel to prevent it from being dismantled and instead donated it to St. Louis County Parks in 1965. The department opened it at Sullivan Springs Park until 1980. The St. Louis County Historic Buildings Commission and Fast Park raised enough money to restore the carousel to its original beauty and handmade horses and installed it in a climate-controlled building in Fast Park in 1987. It is operational today and is open from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. The cost is $2 per person.
The people at Forest Park Highlands were very lively and friendly, including the Sunflower Girls. The Sunflower Girls were a group of girl singers that performed at the theater. They sang brawny songs and wore silly outfits and made a lot of people laugh at the park.